Welcome. This is the Drupal usability meeting for October 22nd, 2021. I'm Benji Fisher, moderating. Also in the meeting are Christian Frisch, who is sharing his screen, Aaron McHale, Adam Honig, Antonia, Ben Mullins, Christina Chunias, Rumi Jang, Jim Birch, Lucien Halom, Ofra Schall, Ralph Kohler, and Teresa Granum. I hope I didn't mangle anyone's name too badly.
Close enough.
Several of these people are new, so welcome. Thank you for joining the meeting. And Christian, take it away. It's all yours.
Okay, thank you. So a short introduction for me. I'm Christian Fritsch. I'm from Munich. I'm working for the Thunder distribution and doing Drupal for several years. Also, I'm a media maintainer together with Adam. Yeah, and today we want to talk about the edit functionality for the media library, because that's one of the most wanted features. But we have some problems with that feature because it's not clear for an editor what you edit. So when we gave them the functionality, it's like an entity browser. If someone knows entity browser, when you edit a media item there, you edit the media item directly, and then you are changing it for the complete site. So everywhere where the media item is used.
Christian, you still there? You just phased out for me.
Yeah, for me too.
And another one is about editing media items in context where they are referenced. So when they are added to a node, then that you can override these, that you can override some metadata specifically for that node. So for example, because the alt text, for example, is on an image, it's I think everywhere the same, but the title tag for an image, it can, depends on the article where it's referenced. So we are having several problems here. And
can I say one thing just to sort of summarize the problem here? Like, this is a problem that exists because it's not really specific to media. This is the nature of entity references, right? Like, when you're using an entity reference, you're referencing something that already exists. And if that thing that you're referencing changes, then the changes are propagated everywhere because everything is just referencing one thing. And the problem that we've run into here is that media exposes this in a particularly nasty way because, as Christian says, it's like if you're displaying an image somewhere that you're referencing a media and that media has some alt text of its own, but you want to override the alt text in just this specific use, there's no way to do that. And particularly in the media library field widget, like you're seeing here on his screen, if you want to edit a media, it's like, are you editing the media for everywhere, or are you just editing it in this one place, which, by the way, there's not a way to do in core right now. So this is a long-standing problem that we have to fix.
Yeah. So what you can see here now is the media library, and we have an edit pencil here. So that's something I built in the last days, and that's something I would like to discuss, if an edit button here is useful, or if an edit button should be somewhere else, or how the edit form that we present to the user is then built. Because if we want to build an edit form where a user can only do contextual overrides, or he can edit the raw media item that is used everywhere, and should we add the edit button here directly in the media library, or should the edit button be on the field widgets? So next to the X here, we could add a pencil there as well. So that's all questions where we currently have no answer, because it's getting even harder when you have this contextual overrides. So where we have this issue, and I was also working on a contrib module. We decided we want to have this edit in context functionally. We want to do that first in contrib, and when we have battle tested that, then we want to move that hopefully into core, because there we have the edit pencil directly on the here in the widget. And yeah, that's confusing. You added the item here that are overrides just that are made only in context of the node, or you added the media item in the library where it's added for the whole site. And we have no clear answer what's best and how we should present it to the editor.
I have a
it's-
question
Yeah, go ahead.
about the pencil. Isn't that a quick edit feature, or it's something else?
It's something else.
It's contextual. It's the contextual module. And one thing to mention is that in admin themes, the contextual module is somewhat crippled.
If you are going here to the media library over admin content, then we already have a pencil here, and that's just linking you to the edit page. And I just reused that CSS and this layout on my field widget. Yeah. But it has nothing to do with contextual stuff. It's just for that specific media items. So contextual pencil is something else. I think we are removing the contextual stuff here, but I don't know exactly. Yes.
I think if you find this stuff confusing, this is exactly the problem. Like, it's just very, I think what we're in a position to put into core right now that we could do without like a lot of blockers is the ability from, like, Christian, can you reference a thing in the media widget, or the one that will show like the pencil, just to demonstrate it? Like, I think what we're in a position to do right now is where if you have the pencil for those things and you click one of them, then you change it, but it'll change it everywhere. And I think, we could implement that, but I guess the sticking point for me with this issue is like, how do we make it really, really clear to people that you're changing this for everybody, or you're changing this thing everywhere it appears, and like, how do we mitigate the impact of that? Because what I immediately thought was like, people will wonder, well, wait, where else is it being used? And how do I make, and if it's a problem that it changes for everybody, they'll wonder, like, how do I make it so it only changes here? And so I think we need to at least have a plan for this.
Yeah.
Certainly from a UX standpoint, if not yet a technical standpoint.
I have a thought regarding, so when you are making the change globally, I feel like that should always happen in the form that was referenced earlier, where it's happening globally. So not within the dialogue. So if perhaps when the dialogue's open, if you want to make a global change to a media item, clicking that would open that form in a new tab. So you're no longer within a dialogue, which implies you're making changes to just the node that you're currently working on. And so, in other words, global changes can only be made in a single form, not in a dialogue. And so then that creates a mental model of this page is for global changes, but if I'm within a node or a dialogue that is spawned from that node, I'm making changes that are specific to just that node. So that's my thought.
Another idea might be additional to that. I don't know if the button has just to be an icon, but in case it's a global edit, you might extend the icon with, for example, just global afterwards to append it afterwards. So you have added a pencil and global maybe. So it's explicit also visually, that the editor knows what he or she is clicking.
Are you suggesting like I'm just trying to figure out what that would look like? Are you saying like a separate button, or we just put like a pencil?
A different type of button. So for example, for the node button is just the pencil like it is at the moment, but for global edits, add, for example, global afterwards. So it's clear and not ambiguous.
that Antonia, you've unmuted yourself. Would you like to say something? And
I
Christine.
was wondering, are there any existing patterns that we could look at? Because the same issue, I believe, also applies for the inline entity form module.
Yeah.
I was wondering if they have some sort of information for the user saying that, hey, if you edit this now on this node, you're gonna edit the whole media. Anybody know anything? I'm not quite sure. I can't remember right now.
We tackled a similar problem with Layout Builder, where when it came to layout overrides, so when you were editing the layout for like a content type, like that was fine, but then when you went to edit the layout for a particular item, like we need to convey you're editing this item, so we used the messaging, the message boxes at the top of the screen to show, you know, you're editing the global template, if you like, or you're editing the override. So we just had, like, you know, the message, like the green message box comes up, and I think there was some icons that were introduced for that to make that more apparent. So I don't know if something similar could be used here.
Yeah, I remember that issue. I mean,
Is there issues relating to these, presumably somewhere that we could get? Do you have links to like core contrib issues that cover these topics?
the main issue I'm aware of with this is, I will paste the link here into Zoom. This is the main issue. There might be other ones, but this is definitely where most of the action is taking place that I'm aware of.
Okay, and for the sake of the recording, that issue number is 2985168.
So one thing that I'm seeing here is that well, some of you already mentioned that kind of, is that the problem about opening a model over a model, like that's not a good pattern, because it's like opening the Pandora box to model overlapping models. But I see a problem in there when you go and edit an image, because you lose the context of where you were like 1 second ago, and you completely, it's super easy to lose where we were coming from, or well, basically lose the context. So I'm not sure if there will be like a way to replicate or visually explain where you are coming from. If it goes like, for example, like a form, several steps form, like a form where you have at the top like the breadcrumb of pages you've been or something like that. That way, that could give us like a bigger model and a bigger space where we could actually explain and give some visual information about this being a form that is overriding just the item or the whole thing.
But to be fair, I mean, like at the moment, we don't have the technical ability to override just for one place. That would require a lot of like underlying backend work before that would even be possible. So right now, the only thing we can offer people is the ability to edit it everywhere, to do a global edit. You know, I think, but yeah, I mean, I guess like what would be, I mean, yeah, maybe we could open that in a modal with a message like Layout Builder does. Maybe we could open it in a new tab with a message like Layout Builder does, and possibly with a breadcrumb. I'm not sure. I mean, those things I can see ways to do that.
I was thinking
yeah.
pretty much the same things as Christina, and I also think that the workflow is already complicated enough. I don't like the idea of taking detours from the workflow to edit individual media items. I'd like to keep the workflow more linear. So what I would suggest is, next to the Add Media button, have a checkbox that says update metadata, or maybe we can find a better better wording. And then if that is selected, have an additional step in the workflow, an additional step in this multi-step form that shows each one of the media items with text fields for the alt text, the title, whatever it is that you're allowed to update. And if currently all we can do is update the media everywhere it's used, then for now, give a message on that at the top of the page saying these effects will take place everywhere. And eventually, when we can offer an option for overrides, we'll have this separate step in the process where it's more natural to fit that in.
Did I get that right? That you would open, so you would add a new button, and when you click that button, you get the forms for all the selected media item? Is that correct? So just form by form below, or how?
Yes, but not inserted into the current form, but as a separate step. When you select the checkbox and click Add Media, then instead of being done, you go on to the next step.
I'm not sure if I get it right.
So this is already a multi-step form, right? You go through several steps to add media, and at this point, if you click Add Media, you're done, and you're.
So something like, so when we upload multiple items, we get something like this. And that for editing? Do I get that right?
Yes, have something very similar to this as an optional additional step after you've selected things to add.
Okay. I think we already have a problem with this form because you can modify, this is a view mode, and you can add all the fields you want here. And if you upload a gallery, so it's a common use case in our publishing house to add a gallery with, I don't know, 50 images, and then you get 50 times the form. And we don't have just these two fields. We have, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 fields, and then this form is very, very large.
Maybe just a small thing to improve this one. Maybe some of them can be collapsed. Like each of the items can be collapsible or something like that. I mean, it will add visual noise here, but it will help make them collapsible, and then a button to collapsible. Anyway, that's just for this specific form.
Yeah.
I wonder if a way to improve this form would be to have it just almost like where if you're uploading, say 10 media items, and you get to this screen, you get the first item, and then you click next, and then you get the next item. So instead of one big form for all of them, it's a sort of step-by-step process. And maybe that's something that you could, as the site builder, could configure that as like a configuration option, so that, because I think that depends on the use case, because I think this form is really useful for if you have a site that's you're only going to upload a few things at a time, whereas if you've got a site like that kind of example where potential editors are uploading 50 things at once, like you might want to change how the form behaves so it's a multi-step process. But I guess coming back to the edit side things, like I think maybe actually I like the idea of having something you could select to say I want to kind of go into like edit mode, so to speak. But I think a way to do that would be maybe just another button next to add a media, and you click edit and it brings up an edit form for the media items that are already selected. Because I think if I worry that we kind of make, if we take the approach of having a sort of like a checkbox and then you click add media and then you select more media and you get an edit screen, like I'm worried that might sort of complicate the flow further. Whereas I think the flow of adding media and editing media feel a little bit more separate in this context.
Mhm. Yeah.
Ben, you're unmuted. Do you want to say something?
Oh, yeah, the unmuting was by accident, but yes, I do. I do think that having well, there's two concerns. What I'm looking at right here is I do think having the ability to edit within this dialogue, it is going to be potentially dangerous. It's already possible. I can't imagine it being easy to distinguish things happening specific to this entity versus it being done universally. Also, on a more granular level, I'd be wary of using the pencil icon because it is associated with contextual, which the pattern that people are accustomed to is having it open a list of options. And in this case, it's triggering a single action by clicking it. And so that would be confusing as well. Obviously, that's addressable, just change the image. But going forward, I would not recommend pencil unless it's exposing a list of options. So those are the concerns I noticed here. That's it.
It's interesting because like one of the things, like when we were designing this UI like 3 years ago, we sort of had this philosophy of like what happens in the media library stays in the media library. And what that means, despite being like a cool slogan, is that like things that you do in the media library in this dialogue are global by nature. And that's true functionally. Like if you upload an image here, like it's now available all the time, you know, to all images. There's nothing specific to this particular context about that. So, but I know, I hear what you're saying, where it's like, you know, it's hard to necessarily distinguish if that's the case with an edit operation, which is a different kind of thing, as opposed to like the idea of here, I have an image, I'm gonna throw this into the media bucket, you know? So I don't, yeah, I don't know. I have no answers. If I had answers, I wouldn't be in this call because we would just, you know, be doing it.
Yeah, I think part of the problem fundamentally here is that if you're a content editor and you come on here, you're coming onto a piece of content to edit it, and you're selecting like add media or whatever, like even if you're doing this even within the CK editor, you know, like you're within the flow of thinking, I'm editing this individual piece of content. And so it could become really confusing for content editors if we start introducing things that could impact content elsewhere on the site within the same flow as editing a content item, a single content item, if that makes sense. And I don't know I don't know if there's a good solution to that problem other than just being like, you want to edit these, go to the media library, like just go elsewhere, because then that takes you out of that flow. You're no longer in the flow of I'm editing a single content item. You're now in the flow of I'm editing multiple content items.
So the problem is like that flow, it's like that mixing. So it sounds like, if I'm hearing you correctly, like the problem here is the mixing of contexts, where it's like I was editing a node, now I'm editing a media for everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's really, and it's very hard to cross that boundary in a graceful way.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
You know, and it's funny because like, you know, that as you know, we're keeping those two contexts separate is exactly what we already do in core. You know, there is no way to edit a media thing from the media library right now because we ran into this too, and it was like, well, let's just keep them separate. But yet this idea of like, I want to edit from the media library is a requested feature that we keep hearing people want. So
question, if you click right now in the edit button right now, where does it go? So it edits this item, or it edits the whole
item? Yes, exactly.
Just this one, not the whole thing.
It edits this item for the whole site.
Okay, and then
it's editing the media item. It's this. So we also had in our team, we had the idea. So we are currently on Entity Browser and we want to switch to media library, and we are missing the edit functionality as well. So we started to build, and also we started to build it with the mantra that we had in Barcelona back in the days, with what happens in the media library stays in the media library. And I think it's this. We had also long discussions, and this was one thing where we could all agree with in our team, that editing it right here from the media library, that this will edit the real media item, because here you are in the context of media library, you are in a, so to say, global context, because as Adam said, uploading stuff is also, they are then available globally. So, and yeah, so this will edit it globally. So for example, you upload something, you had a typo, you want to quickly edit the media item and fix the typos, you can just click here and fix it, and done. And you don't have to go to content media, blah, blah, blah.
Okay, so then if you only have one option, which is just editing the whole, the item for the whole site, what if, this edit button, so just, I'm not sure how technically is the best way, and I'm not sure if it's exactly the best way, but what if you're clicking here, because I'm thinking on the contextual links, for example, if you're clicking there, you have a drop-down with different options. And on that drop-down, you have the option, for example, edit the node, or edit the config the block, or delete the block, or something like that. What if this edit button opens a dialog, well, not a dialog, a drop-down that says edit the item everywhere, or the main item, or the source item, or something like that. So that way, the moment that you are going and leaving this this model, and you're going into another model, you are aware that you are going into the main source of that item itself. It's like giving a warning. That's one option. And then another option would be when you are already on the form, maybe having like a status message at the top saying you are editing the source item or the main item for the whole site, or something like that. I know we don't use the status message for core, but maybe that could be an appropriate place to actually have this information shown, like, hey, be aware that this is for the whole site. And any thoughts?
Yeah, that comes back to the layout builder pattern. Was basically that it was a status message just pops up at the above the layout when you're editing it to say that this is the whole site. And maybe that's a part of the solution. Like, I feel like this is a like this could, because this isn't an easy problem to solve, like we're definitely going to need to iterate on this, and probably over multiple issues. Yeah.
I had a thought. It occurred to me that there's a pattern used by my TV that I think might be applicable here. And so with the TV, for example, there's multiple inputs available, and the aspect ratio can be changed for each input. But when I'm making those changes, there's an additional option to apply these changes to all inputs. And so it defaults to not to being false. But if I switch that on, then it automatically makes a change. So it's the default is I'm working on a specific item, but it's very easy to then apply it globally. And I just added a screenshot in the Slack, just with a very remedial markup. So in the thread for this meeting. Basically, what that screenshot is if we were editing the alt text for that specific instance of the image, there'd be an additional check mark that says apply these changes for all instances. And then when it's saved, it applies it to all instances. And that field could also be given its own permission. So then, because the potential for abuse is certainly there. So anyways, that's something I'm proposing, and it's based on a pattern that I've had a positive experience with. That's in a television, not a content management system. But anyways, that's my suggestion.
I sort of I'm because we talked about quite a few things, so I want to be careful we're not sort of confusing different aspects of this here. But so the point of media is like you upload a piece of media, and that's a thing that you can put into multiple other things. So I guess my question would be to turn it around and say, well, why would you want to edit the alt text on a particular, like, why would you want to override it for just this one instance of that media, if you like? Why would you want to have a separate field? Like, let's say the alt text, but like there's lots of other fields, like, you know, you could have stuff for like if you have a video, you could have like captions, you would have like, you know, maybe available resolutions. Like, surely the whole premise of media is that those are things you would want to edit globally anyway, because otherwise you may as well just like upload the thing inside the CK editor window, you know, and it's a thing, it's like a regular file image.
I mean, my understanding is that there are sometimes legitimate reasons to override things like the alt text, like for accessibility, but I wouldn't, by no means am I anywhere close to being an authority on that.
So what we found out when we looked at the fields that we are currently providing in Thunder, that the fields that an editor wants to add globally, that wants to change globally, are different to the fields that an editor wants to change in context. So in context, fields are all, not all, but title or maybe description, but fields for editing globally are something like copyright or is expire or stuff like that. So presenting just two different forms from two different places could also work. I don't know. It's difficult.
Yeah, so I guess there's like two different problems here. There's like, because we have to break this up into different chunks, otherwise it's like it's such a big problem. It's gonna,
yeah, it's too big, and
our minds are gonna explode. So there's the problem of I just want a quick way to edit the media that are here right now. And then there's a related but completely separate problem of like, I want to be able to override individual attributes. They're related, but those are separate things. So if we could focus on one of those, probably the easier one first, that might help us solve the more challenging one.
yes, I agree. But I think we should, when we try to build the ideal world, so the perfect world, we should have both in mind, because I think they have to work together. Because what I built here is, and that's not really working together, I think. So when you have edit here for the whole thing, and then you select it, and you have a completely different edit here for edit in context. So yes, I agree, we should maybe in the first step just edit the whole media item, because I think that would help people a lot, as it is the most requested feature in the HQ. But we should also have, when we design the perfect world, we should also have the other one in mind, because they only work together, in my opinion. Yeah. Maybe it's just that you have here an edit button, and you have two tabs in this model. So one tab for editing in context and another tab for editing on the whole page or something like this. And then we could start with implementing just edit on the whole page, and on a second step, the other tab will edit in context. I don't know. But yes, we should find something we can all agree with, and that would at least bring some edit functionality to the media library, because people want that. And yeah, it's a showstopper for, I think, a lot of people to move from entity browser to media library.
Just to clarify as well, so the edit pencil that we're seeing here, that's not in core right now, right?
No, none of the edit pencils are in core right now.
Yeah, okay.
So the edit pencil you're seeing here is from a contrib module that we built. It's called Media Library Media Override. And the edit pencil you are seeing in the media library, it's a patch in the core issue queue for edit functionality. Yeah.
Right. And I feel like maybe we should, I don't know, I kind of want to step back and think on this, because it's just a really hard problem to solve.
Yeah, it's disappointing that we don't have any great solutions for you, but maybe we've done as much as we can for today.
You know, like, even if we don't have a solution today, like, honestly, this has now been passed just many large brains, and that's good. Just no matter. So I'm cool with that.
Maybe I should just put the patch in our contrib module. So this button here, it's a views plugin. So I could put that also in the contrib module together with the other edit pencil, and then we can evolve on that, and maybe we will have an idea later in the next year, or I don't know.
Yeah, because I mean, we can bring this back after it's been iterated on and have a look again. So maybe one one thing that might help is just the suggestion of, at least when you click that edit pencil and you get to the form, like have a status message that does exactly
Yes.
what Layout Builder does, that says
Yeah.
you're editing this across the whole site.
Yes,
Like
exactly.
that helps to not, like, that helps to make sure that when you're there, you're aware that, okay, I'm not in the context of just editing on this node, I'm editing on the whole site. So I would suggest, yes, have a look at what Layer Builder does for that, and just like copy it as close as possible, because it's already a pattern we have.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good suggestion. Yes. Okay.
So any last comments on this issue? So Jim Birch had to drop off the meeting, so I guess we won't talk about his issue. Aaron, would you like to talk about the follow-up?
Yeah, sure. I'm
Christian,
just trying
if you
to
can stop sharing your screen,
find.
then either Aaron or I can share ours.
Yeah, so I'm just going to bring up the issue. I don't mind sharing. So I'm just going to bring the issue for today's meeting, and yeah, I'll just share my screen.
Thanks.
Yeah, let's just share screen one. Why not? See my whole screen. Okay, so this is an issue for today's meeting. I had posted down here. So this issue that I'm going to click on, which is loading just now, which is the 3.1 99972, which is the improve user interface text and account cancellation screen. That was just committed to yesterday or the day before. And it essentially just makes a whole bunch of user interface tweaks. I will open this one in a new tab so you get to see it clear, but we have a much nicer looking account cancellation screen for text. But what it resulted in is a whole bunch of follow-up issues or related issues getting discovered. So partly, some of these came, a couple of these came directly from our recommendations, and a couple of these were just related issues, but one of them or two of them are very small. So I thought it'd be good to just get some feedback on the ideas in here and see if we could just start getting some of them moving along. So I'm going to click on this one first, which is issue 2978063, and that is to give information to a user when the account is disabled or deleted when canceling. So yeah, this one's been around for quite a few years now. Look at the date and reminded 2018 was like 3 or 4 years ago now. That's crazy. Yeah, so if the user doesn't have permission to select a method for canceling an account, then they don't know whether their account will be deleted or disabled when they're deleting it. This is probably in conflict with GDPR. Minimum users should be alerted if their account is only disabled rather than deleted, and they should be alerted about what's happening when content they created is deleted. So I guess the proposed resolution for here is to, when a user cancels their account, information should be added about what is happening to the account and content created by it. Site builder should have the option to add additional text explaining point of contact, for example, something like if your account is to be deleted rather than disabled, please contact, and presumably a contact. So I think, yes, this one actually doesn't have, other than that, doesn't have specific screenshots, but I think this is a particular problem, and it would be good if we could get some input on it here. What I'll do is I'll just open that one in a new tab, and because and skip to another one as well. So for instance, this one I think was, can I get that open? Yeah. So this one actually has some screenshots. So it's really about the, I guess, confusing messaging when getting an email confirmation request. So again, this one is about when a user's canceling their account, they're displayed a message, a confirmation request to cancel your account has been sent to your email address, which is absolutely correct for this case. However, when an admin cancels a user account and chooses an email confirmation request, such a user, the same message is displayed, which is not correct. So it should be something along the lines of a confirmation request has been to cancel the user account has been sent to user email address.
Recording.
Oh yeah, so that one is 2980952. So this one, I believe, yeah, so this one has got some screenshots here. So for instance, this one is before the patch. So talking about the message up here, and then this one would be after patch is applied. So you can see just sort of a subtle change in the wording there. And I guess those are, I don't know if those are older ones or, yeah, so those are just older versions. So it'd just be good to get any kind of feedback that we could provide to this relating to the wording, and to maybe help this one get moved along. So actually on either of these, because I think these were the two that the other two in here were ones that had yeah, this one these had both come directly from feedback that we'd previously given, so it's probably less worth looking at those, but probably worth looking at these ones in a little bit of detail. So yeah, just if anyone's got any thoughts on these, that would be great. And I'll get to this one as well. Let me just open these. So we can see these as well. I guess it's really just around is the wording, like does the wording on this message make sense?
I don't see the difference in the wording.
So, oh, you're right. So that one is that one slightly, oh, did I just stop screen sharing? I think I did. Oops. It's that zoom bar, it keeps gotten in the way. I don't know if I can I move this? Oh, I can move this. Okay, we're gonna move that. Yeah, I thought that actually I thought those were different. That's interesting. Perhaps confirmation request. Yeah, maybe it looks like they've I don't know if they've accidentally uploaded the same screenshot or if those are different. That's interesting.
It's either your email address or the user's email address.
Yeah.
Your account or this.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. See that there. Okay, so yeah, for this one, I guess it would be really just around does this wording make sense? So like for instance, if it's you that's canceling your own account versus if it's, you know, someone else canceling a user's account, like a site admin.
Yeah, those two messages look reasonable to me.
Yeah, I think I'm also just looking at them and I can't think of any I can't pick out any particular problems there. So if there's no other feedback on this one, I can just provide a comment on this just saying we've reviewed it past the usability group and there was no objections to this.
I have maybe a suggestion. Sorry. If you want, you can try to make it more personalized to say like the username instead of this user account, but it's not something that's like essential, I think.
Right, yeah. So like for instance, a confirmation request to cancel. So say the username is Aaron.
A confirmation request to cancel Aaron's account has been sent to Aaron's email address, generic stuff like that.
Probably, if we're going to do that, probably would we say the name twice? Or because if we probably won't want to say that, have it twice.
So like a confirmation request to cancel Aaron account has been sent to the user email address. Just use it on the first one.
Yeah, so a confirmation request to cancel Aaron's account has been sent to I guess the user's email address?
The user's
this is
email
technically
address,
an admin message, so yeah.
Yeah.
I think this might open the gate to some punctuation or maybe grammar issues. If the name ends with an S, the apostrophe S might not look nice. Like Doris.
Yeah. Yeah, interestingly, so there's a way to get I think there's a way that you can have it just generate the plural version of like a user or any entity. But again, yeah, like trying to think of a name that ends in S, like
She said Doris, I
Dolores.
guess.
Oh, I'm just gonna say, yeah, something like that. I don't know. And yeah, because we don't really use that pattern of apostrophe S in messages. Like if it's the end, if it's the name of the thing, I've never seen the apostrophe S like that.
Me neither.
What if just like, because this would be in italics, so like, fortunately, Notepad is quite limited, and I can't do italics there, but this would be like, yeah, just to illustrate, this would be in italics.
So one thing I notice is that this issue desperately needs an update to the summary. The code snippet in the proposed resolution section looks like it's for Drupal 7, and the actual patch looks like it will probably apply to Drupal 9.
Oh, okay. Here's the patch. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so in this one, it's just cancel the account. So the only difference is your versus the, unless we prefer something more like actually putting the name of the user, which might be better. And I think I've seen we do that in other places. So we put the name of the entity that we're affecting.
Yeah, and that would be very easy to do. That's already used in the log message. So this would just make
Right, yeah.
the displayed message more like the log message. We are getting close to the end of the hour. Does anyone have any last comments they'd like to make on this issue?
Nope.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll suggest that it's just adding the actual name of the user into the message, and then should be good for that one.
Okay, thank you all for attending and for the lively discussion. Next week, by the way, I will be presenting a session at NedCamp, which is one of the local Drupal camps for me, and the session will just be this meeting. So I expect that we'll have some more new people joining the meeting because of that. And I hope many of you will join us next week or future weeks. And again, thank you all for coming.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye, folks.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.